Cluster relationships are hard to discern in multivariate scatter plots. The Subspace Voyager solves this problem. It puts data inside a trackball which you can rotate, or jump to an adjacent subspace to start another round of inspection. Further, it uses the ant colony algorithm to optimize a view for you, and allows you to save any insightful view for revisiting later. Our trackball supports the following interactions. Users can rotate the trackball while pressing the left mouse button down. Users can also quickly increase the weighing of certain attributes by moving toward it while pressing the mouse right button down. Here, the size and opacity of pipeline revenue have increased and two clusters form. Users can paint different points using different colors and our system treats them as different clusters. Users can also paint some points gray to make them inactive. By checking the turn off checkbox, those inactive points will be hidden. At any time, users can also uncheck this box to bring the inactive points back. Our subspace trail map supports the following interactions. Users can double-click anywhere in the map to add the current view in the trackball to the map. In case of overlapping, putting the mouse over the bottom view would bring this view to the top. Users can also use the slider to change the size of the small views to reduce overlapping. At any time, if the user wants to further examine one previously added subspace, he can simply drag and drop it back to the trackball. If the user wants to present the findings to others, he can use our trail map to create a path among the added small views simply by clicking them in order. Then he can use the next button to smoothly transient between them and make stops at keyframes for explanation. Now we are going to present one case study. In this example, we are using the Salesforce data set. Here is a brief introduction of it. This data set describes Salesforce working for a large company. It has 900 data points with each salesperson being one. It also has 10 attributes parameterizing the basic corporate sales pipeline. Briefly, a sales campaign begins with a leads generator who produces prospective customers that a salesperson might be able to close a deal with. If these leads receive positive responses, they would become one leads and receive a sales pitch at cost per one lead. Upon further positive response they would become opportunities, which is indeed potential customers. Cost is involved in every step and the pipeline revenue is the ultimate goal. Suppose there are two data analysts, Pat and Kate. Pat wants to use our Subspace Voyager to explore the Salesforce data set and then present his findings to Kate. Here's how he does it. Pat begins with trying to find the overall pattern of the data. He treats all the data points as one cluster and performs PCA on it. Pat notices two things. First of all, since this is the PCA view, there are several groups of attributes that have fairly strong correlations. For example, expected return on investment and pipeline revenue, leads 1 and number leads. What's more, there are three groups of points that seem to match the fact that there are three sales teams. In order to find out if those clusters are real clusters, Pat saves this view on the trail map and loads the cluster information from the data. Now he knows for sure that those three groups are three different sales teams. Next, Pat wants to examine the individual clusters on the subspaces they reside. He clicks the Add All Subspaces button and adds all three clusters residing subspaces to the trail map. Here, the view outlined in green is the green cluster's subspace, the one outlined in blue is the blue cluster's subspace and the one outlined in purple is where the purple cluster resides. Pat brings the blue cluster's subspace back to the trackball for further examination. He notices that for the blue cluster, number leads and leads 1 are correlated. The blue cluster also varies the most along the direction of leads 1 and expected return on investment. Next, Pat brings the purple cluster's subspace back to the trackball. He notices that this team varies the most on how much revenue they planned. Finally, Pat brings back the green cluster's subspace and he notices that the green team has the most variation on cost and planned return on investment. Now Pat wants to analyze what different sales strategies those three teams use. He starts with bringing the overall PCA view back to the trackball. Pat knows that pipeline revenue is the ultimate goal of any sales strategy. He increases the weighting of pipeline revenue along the X direction. Pat notices that both the blue and the purple teams generates high revenue and the blue team is slightly better. The green team on the other hand does not do well. Pat saves this view in the trail map. He notices that there are some views overlapping in the trail map and he decides to decrease the size of them. Pat notices that the attribute number of opportunities is along the Y direction now and he further increases its weighing. Pat finds out that even the blue team does not have lots of opportunities, it still generates high revenue. The green team has lots of opportunities but does not produce high revenue. This means getting more opportunities does not equal to final revenue. He saves this view in the trail map. Pat now increases the weighting of cost per one lead to examine the effect of assigning different cost on one lead. Based on the discoveries, he concludes that the green team puts high cost on one leads and they therefore get lots of opportunities. Lots of opportunities sounds like a winning strategy, but because of the high cost, their generated revenue is very low. The blue team does the opposite but their final revenues is still high. He saves this view in the trail map. This exploration can keep going on. Now Pat wants to present his findings to Kate. He connects all the key findings according to the explored order, first the overall PCA view, next all individual clusters subspaces and then the other frames. He uses the next button to smoothly transient between findings and makes necessary stops on key frames for explanation.